Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh,
Can you
okay.
hear me?
Yeah, I couldn't hear anybody, so that's why I thought it was okay. Good.
How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Very well.
Hi, everyone.
I
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
So we have a few minutes to 7.
okay.
We
Uh,
have like 3 more minutes.
Okay, good. Good.
Hi, everyone. Welcome.
Okay.
So hello, everyone. This is an official welcome to the NPIK webinar, where we'll be discussing how to navigate or assess scholarships in the United States. And tonight, well, it's evening here in West Africa, Nigeria. Tonight, it's a privilege to have two speakers who are current scholars in the United States that will be joining us to expatiate, to explain, to clarify issues on accessing scholarships. So I'm looking forward to a very great time. And first of all, I want to introduce our speakers. I'll start with Esther Oluwasanmi. Esther Oluwasanmi is a third-year PhD candidate at the University of Tennessee. She earned her undergraduate degree at the University of Ibadan and master's at the University of Ibadan. And she's currently in the US to pursue her PhD. So she'll be giving us insights on assessing scholarships at the PhD level. And then our second speaker is Mr. Emmanuel Bamidele. He's a second-year master's graphic design graduate student at Iowa State University. He's also pursuing an MSc in Human-Computer Interaction. He holds an undergraduate degree from Obafemi Awolowo University, Great Ife, with 6 years professional experience. He has worked across several industries, fintech, education, and marketing agencies. So he's dedicated to creating meaningful and impactful design experience. It's a pleasure to welcome you, Emmanuel, to welcome you, Esther. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having us. It's good to be here.
Confirm if everyone is hearing me. Please put it in the comment section if the audio is good, if you are hearing it's clear. Please give your comments in the comment section so that I'll be able to make sure that everyone gets the information we are passing across. So let's get right into it. My first question would be, okay, let's hear from our speakers. Mr. Emmanuel, hello. Mrs. Esther, hi.
Hi.
Good to see that smile. Good to see that smile too. Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you. Thank you for
Honoring
having me.
me. Thank you so much. Okay, so for people like us that will be wanting to learn from your experiences, that is why we are here. And some other people have joined online who want to learn how to explore these opportunities. So first, I will ask, who is eligible for a scholarship? Is there a criteria or is there a limitation? How can we say someone is eligible for a scholarship? So let me start from Mr. Bamidele. How would you say who is eligible for a scholarship at master's and probably at PhD level?
Yeah, thanks for the question. So firstly, I would just say that most of what I'll be sharing will just be mostly be from like my personal experience. So I'm not speaking from like a place of like some crazy specific authority, like scholarship authority, if you get what I'm saying. So it's mostly just gonna be from like my experience and what I've learned and like picked up over the years. So I think it's a very interesting question, and I think that it's also pretty broad because like there are like different requirements for like different fields or like different things that people are looking into. But I would say that the some of the basic things that needs to like be considered or that needs to like be just had at the back of the mind is like most programs require like a minimum CGPA requirement. That varies. Some people fall within different categories of CGPA. So your CGPA is, I think, something that has a role to play in your eligibility. And because you have a particular CGPA, it doesn't necessarily, mean, oh, you are not eligible for something, right? So be it first class, second class, or something other than that. There are different requirements, like I said. So that is a requirement. Um, then I also think that there are yeah, there are different requirements, but I think that's like a basic one that I would say. But oftentimes it takes research to, find out for it takes some little bit of research to like niche down into what the individual person needs, to gather like the information they need to gather for, what they are trying to like look for and what they are trying to do.
Thank you so very much for that. Thank you. You mentioned CGPA, you mentioned some
Yes.
universities have certain criteria. Okay, so let's
Yes.
hear from Esther too. Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys for having me. So basically, based on what Emmanuel said, it's a broad question and it's interesting because when we say who is eligible for scholarship, anybody can be eligible for the scholarship, but there are some certain requirements depending on the type of scholarship you're looking into. The requirements that you might need for a master's might be different from the requirements you might need for a PhD. And also depending on the field that you are, also the requirement also matters. For example, what they're looking for in STEM research might be different from what is being looked for in maybe accounting or something in social work. So it's broad, but like he said, very important, especially if you are in undergrad and you're planning to go for graduate studies, master's and PhD. Very important, your CGPA, where you stand, your degree, it's very important, and also your research interest. So yeah.
And just to add on to that, because like again, CGPA, yes, but like people often tend to like relegate themselves because of like whatever CGPA that we have. And that doesn't necessarily happen to be true that, oh, because I have this CGPA means that I don't actually have the opportunity to access the scholarship, right? So I would say that, regardless of what you have, don't relegate yourself. Different universities have different requirements, different programs have different requirements. It just takes a little bit of research to be able to, find the one that suits and works, for what you are, trying to do and get into.
Yeah. So I guess to add up to that, I'll just say like, before you say you're eligible for a scholarship, you need to know where you stand. What do I want? What do I have now? Then you will know what scholarship to actually go for. Because depending on wherever you stand, there are some scholarships that you can be eligible for. Yeah.
Thank you so very much for that expansion. So taking from the two answers, we mentioned there are different types of scholarship. So it's really broad. So I can't relegate myself. Mr. Emmanuel said we should not box ourselves and say I can't get it. Because there are scholarships in STEM, there are scholarships for women, scholarships for females in particular fields, there are scholarships for Africans, there are different kinds of scholarships. So one thing I gathered from what the two of you said was research into what would fit for the individual particular, research into what would fit. So information is very key. Information is very key. So let me go to my next questions. My next question. Okay, so now, if we now focus on academic scholarship now, we focus on academic scholarship, what can increase my chances of getting those scholarships? We already said that CGPA should not relegate you, because I know people with a 2-2 than those scholarships in the United States. It might not be full, it might be partial, yes. So CGPA should not relegate you, but how can I increase my chances of getting the scholarship? Let's start with getting a PhD scholarship. And then now with Mr. Emmanuel getting an MSc scholarship. Thank you so much.
All right. So increasing your chances, it depends on like two things. Are you still studying or have you graduated? So if you're still studying, increasing your chances definitely will mean try to do better, try to get better grades. If you can improve on yourself, for example, if you're in second year and there's still 2 more years to actually improve on your grades, yes, that's one of the ways you can increase your chances if you're still studying. So for those that are still studying, I think that's what would be my take-home message. Try to improve on yourself, improve on your grades, improve on your skills, your leadership skills, try to build on your leadership skills or research skills. For example, if you're interested in PhD research, it's research based, try to get involved into many things in school researches, like talk to some lecturers, get insight into what they are doing in terms of research, not just what they teach in class. So that's how you can increase your chances. If you're still studying, you can just do better. I think that for those that have graduated, how you increase your chances would be based on what you have now. You have to look at opportunities based on what you have. So, for example, it's always like um it's nice to go for something big, but you can't have a tutu and all you target. I don't know if Emmanuel will understand what I mean. Like in US, for example, there are R1 institutions, there are R2 institutions and the like. So if, for example, you have like not a very strong degree that you came up with, like probably not maybe a 3-1, a third class or a second class lower, targeting those top schools might be you're trying to actually decrease your chance. So one of the things what I would advise for those that have graduated is in the process of increasing your chances based on what you have, you target opportunities that would consider it. For example, if you're targeting opportunities that will consider women, then you make sure that you apply to those kind of opportunities because that way you've increased your chance, regardless of what degree that you what class of degree that you have at that point particular time. So yeah, that's one advice I would give in terms of increasing your chances, especially for research-based postgraduate studies like PhD, because one of the things I did for myself was fine, yes, if you finish with a first class, your opportunity is a lot wide. But even as a first class graduate, if you don't have some other additional skills, some other additional things in your CV, you might not be able to target some big schools. And that's where it's just like you're not, don't just throw your application out there. You need to be actually very like, you need to program it and say, okay, wherever I'm throwing my application, I know I have a chance at it because I've checked the requirement. I have seen that I can match it, and that way I've increased my chance. I think that's what I have for that.
Okay, I think I'll just chime in at this point. I think a lot of what Esther said, is, very valid. I think for, people still studying, I'd say one thing is one of my favorite phrase is getting my hands dirty. Like I like to get my hands dirty. Like and that means like I like to like experiment, work, try new things and just put myself out there. And this is how that applies to, you if you're still studying and you're like looking to get like explore opportunities, scholarship opportunities, sometime in the future. I'd say that you get your hands dirty, get yourself involved in like different things, get yourself involved in different, you volunteer, do have some volunteering experience, have some, put yourself out there in some leadership roles, um just try to like have a track record where you're like really just putting yourself out there in the community, and just putting yourself out there basically. Also it goes also like your if you're still in school, you still have an opportunity to like still double down on your education, like double down on your CGPA. Those are some of the things that I'll be focusing on if I'm still in school and I'm trying to like look aim for scholarships sometime down the line. I would try as much as possible to double down on my education and my grades. Um, and one thing, so those are like some of the things I would say. But one thing that I would say is true for somebody still in school and somebody that is done and still trying to like access those opportunities is something I'll call communication. Something I did when I was trying to like reach out to schools and trying to like access scholarships and trying to understand how like trying to like weigh my chances of getting a scholarship is actually reaching out to like to people, like reaching out to like professors in the schools that I'm potentially like interested in, right? So something I did was niche down to like the schools that I potentially was thinking I would apply to. Then I personally reached out to the professors saying, hey, I'm this person, I'm XYZ. This is what I'm looking to do. This is where I stand right now. What are the things I could do to increase my chances of getting into your program? So, I literally remember one professor responding to me because I'm in a design field. I remember one professor reaching out to me, giving me like some things that I could do, telling me that they are willing to review my portfolio for me, so that, it could increase my chance of getting, into the program and getting a scholarship. So that's one thing I'll say is true for whether you're still in school or not. If it's something you're looking to consider down the line, try to reach out to people in places that are in the places you're aiming to get to, and try to get advice from them on how you can increase your chances on, to leverage whatever opportunity that they have for you.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. That is so insightful because we split it into two. We
Mm-hmm.
explained how to increase chances for those that are still studying
Mm-hmm.
and then those that are finished. So those that
Yeah.
are still studying, if I will do a quick recap, you're saying those that are still studying should work on increasing their CGPA. They should get volunteering experiences. Yes, they should get to know what their lecturers, their professors, the research they are into currently, get to do live, for those in social sciences, get to do field experiments. For those in sciences, get to do experiments, build a repertoire or build something like a profile as an undergraduate while still in school, because you have a aim or something you're targeting or a goal you're going towards, you want to achieve. So that's a good one for those that are still in school. Now, for others that have graduated, we also explained that there are levels of schools. So if I know I've already graduated with a 2-2, I should not go and look for those, is it R1 or something that you called it? I should not even, well, not that I should not try, but I should focus more on the R2 or R3. I hope I'm getting what you said. And then do a niche down, according to what Emmanuel said. Niche down to those things that will favor what you have. Yes, those things that will favor what you have. Let's say I have leadership skills in a volunteering experience, maybe in a community development. Look for requirements that will fit that. So it's a lot of work, actually. It's a lot of work. And then you also mentioned communication. Professors that are doing things similar to what I want to do, I'll reach out to them. Some may not answer. In fact, more than 50% may not answer. But there's something, one has to be tenacious. We have to keep mailing those that are within that niche. And of course, some will respond. Like Mr. Emmanuel said, a professor responded that this is what I'm working on and all that. Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much. To our viewers, you can drop questions. We would love to attend to those questions. So you can drop questions in the comment section. There's a live chat. You can drop questions and then our speakers will be glad to attend to them. So then let's move on to our next question. Okay, so how do I start? Although you have spoken about it briefly in the former questions, but
Yeah.
how do I start? Okay, I want scholarship. Sincerely, I want a scholarship. Where do I start from? Is it Google, or there's a special link you are going to give us today? Yes, give us that expo. Is it Google I'll start from, or there are some links I should go? Please give us all those expos so that you can even post those links in the description. So let's start from Mr. Emmanuel before we go to Esther.
Yeah, this is actually something that I really like talking about, like even when I like just chat with like friends about like my experience, you know. I think a good place to start is know what you want to do, right? Like, because there is this part of us that wants to like throw different nets, cast different nets in the sea, like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that. So even if there are different nets, like I have a list, what do I want to do, right? Once you have that figured out, and this would be me just explaining what I did, right? Once I knew what I was looking, like what I was looking to do, and I made sure it was something that I had a strength in. Um, once what I because I right currently I'm studying a design degree, but that wasn't what I did for my undergrad. It is something totally different from my undergrad. So, but I had a career in design, so I'm like, okay, if I want to like if I want to study, then I probably need to like look into what the strength that I have, which is the current career path that I'm on. And having discovered that, it was a good place for me to start to then niche down to the courses that I wanted to like study that were related to that. So having a career in design or whatever it is that you're trying to like aim for, from that decide on, oh, from this is what I want to do. Then once that is decided, I then started to like look into different courses that I could do that related to that thing, which I considered my strength and which I wanted to like, pursue further knowledge or education in. So once I had that, I started to like make a list. Oh, I could study this, I could study that, I could study this, I could study that. Then from that, I then niched down to, oh, I want to do an MFA in this, right? So when I decided, oh, I wanted to do an MFA in this, what I then did was then Googled the different schools that had that offered that program. And I had a list of different schools. I think I had a list of like 15 to 20 schools that offered that particular program. After coming up with that list, what I then did was go to the university the program website of each of the schools. I would go in there, read the information about the program, go under like, and I think most of the universities would have like a financial page or financial section on their website. So what I would do is go there, read like what they have in their um financial page, whatever, and see, see the opportunities that they have, and like just try to like get an understanding of the type of opportunities they have. So I then would do that for like all the schools that I selected, and based on what I find, I then niche it down to, oh, I think I have an higher chance here, or like or this one I probably would. Some will categorically tell you, oh, we give scholarship to every student that we admit. Some will say, oh, we give XYZ amount of scholarship to students. Some will say, basically they would most likely share like some information that they have regarding what they have for you as a student for funding. Then once that I've done that niching down, for like the selected ones, I would then reach out to the like program advisor like personally. And again, this is just me sharing my personal experience, like I would then reach out to like the program's coordinator personally, and again introduce myself and tell them, I'm an international student. I'm looking to get into this program. What are my chances of getting funding, as an international student? Every single person that I reached out to responded to me. Like every single inquiry I made about, um, my chances of getting like some sort of funding as an international student from the department got back to me. Some of the response I got was, and this is me just like summarizing it. Some of the response I got was, oh, we do not have funding for international students. Some will tell you that. Another response I got was, we have internet funding for every student that we admit into our program. I know that some will tell you, oh, we have a certain percentage of so basically a very core part of the procedure is reaching out. I feel like it is under, I don't know whether on that, I don't know if that word suits the situation, but reaching out to like the program's coordinator of whatever program you're trying to get into to inquire those things, about funding is very, very essential, and I think it's a very, very essential step. And it's a step that I think was very helpful for me to get, certainly, as opposed to like just, reading it on their website and just throwing out an application, and hoping for Guinea. So yeah, I think reaching out is very essential. And I think from there, because I already had like a sense of information from, from what I've gathered from reaching out to them, I could then weigh the chances that I had if I applied to this school or that school or this school to get funding from them because I had already gotten that information from them. So based on the information that I got, then made me like pick, like niche down to like three schools. Oh, okay, I want to apply to these three schools, which I have higher chances of getting funding from based on the information that I've gotten from their website and from me reaching out to their programs coordinator. And from that, I then throw out the applications and at that point I'm making like an educated, guess or like an educated move, if that makes sense. Um, then I think that another thing to do is I think oftentimes most programs require like a statement of purpose. Some programs will require you to like write a separate in letter of intent for your scholarship. And I think that when writing your letter of intent for your scholarship, as required by some universities, I think this is where some of your volunteer experiences that maybe relate to like some of the things that your field of study would come into play. So that's where some of those things that you've thrown yourself into, that's when you can brag about them in your like letter of intent, that could boost your chances of getting, scholarships. But from my perspective, those are some of the steps that I would say to like take bit from my experience that I think could be helpful when like trying to apply for that. Damn, that was long.
Yeah, like Emmanuel said, yeah. So from my perspective and from my own personal experience, when people ask me where do you start, is there a link, is there a website? I say go get a jotter and a pen. Because for me, that's where I started from. So when I say go get a jotter and a pen, because sometimes when you get into these links and this website, you can get lost. You can get lost because you don't have, like he said, you don't have a niche, you don't have what you're looking for because opportunities, scholarship opportunities are countless. What I used to tell people is the opportunity that worked for me might not be the exact opportunity that will work for you. Like, might not be the same scholarship opportunity that will work for you. So that means even if this is the way I use, that doesn't mean you should keep yourself in that line. So one of the things I did was I got a jotter and a pen. Or if better still, you can get your notepad and or if you have a computer, just have a particular Word document and so the first thing I said is, what do I want? Okay, I have a bachelor's, I have a master's. The next step is to get a PhD. Where do I want to go to? I want to do it in US. And so based on that, I wrote down what I have. That is, this is the degree I have. This is my research interest. This is what I have presently. Like, this is me. So based on what I have, this is me, I can go ask questions, which is the part of communications, reaching out to people that I know within my field, maybe past classmates that I heard that, oh, traveled out, past colleagues, seniors, and everybody. And I reached out to them and just asked, oh, are you still in line in chemistry? If they said they are in line in chemistry, I'm like, oh, tell me about your school. Tell me about the opportunities that is available in your school. Then I jot that down, write that down. So what I did next was to write list of schools because I want to focus on US. So I know that, okay, the schools that I'm going to find out will be schools in US. So then one way you can also find schools if you're not someone that like is an introvert is you can go on LinkedIn and just put in your program, maybe chemistry, for example, and just look at graduate school like chemistry. It brings out a lot of profile of a lot of people, and you can get information about different schools, like, oh, this person is doing a PhD or doing a master's in this same field as I am in this particular school. So you can note that down. At least that helps you to be able to know how to go into the links and the recommended websites. I always advise that the best way is to actually go to the school. When you've already written down some schools, one of the first things you can do is to just play around, check different schools, like, because from the checking the schools out, checking their links, checking some information, you're just going to find your way into so many things that you'll see, like Emmanuel said, not all schools will give you funding opportunities. Not all schools will want to fund an international student, or not all schools will provide like 100% scholarship, or 50, or will give you 50% or 75. So while you're researching for this, based on what you have gathered, the information you have gathered from the questions that you've asked from friends and also from different social media platform, like most especially LinkedIn, especially if you're interested in academic research, then LinkedIn should be a very useful social media platform that you should consider. Then based on that, you do your research, you find opportunities. That way, while searching, you're also searching based on your specific research interest. For example, I'm in chemistry, but there are different fields. There is physical chemistry, organic chemistry. So if I see that this particular school, it doesn't really have a lot of professors, or they are not heavy in computational chemistry or physical chemistry that I'm interested in, then I just delete it from my list, like, okay, not this school, because I already know what I want. So like he said, Emmanuel said, reaching out, and you can get so confused in the process of reaching out. That's why you actually need to create a niche. And one of the ways you can do it is actually write it down. This is what I want to do. That's why I would say get a jotter, write down the plans. Okay, because one of the things I also did for my PhD application was I told myself I don't want to write the GRE. I have a master's, I don't want to write a GRE. So most of the schools I reached out to are schools that made GRE optional. So it's not compulsory that I should write the GRE. So if I don't have that written down and like plan for that, okay, this is what I want, I could just be sending my applications to schools and I'll be wondering why am I not hearing back from them, because they have the clause that says that GRE application is important. So yeah, basically, so I think what I would just say is, yes, there are a lot of links, there are a lot of websites, but you should create a niche for yourself by answering the question, this is what I want, these are my research interests, this is my goals, this is the place I want to go to. And that way, you're going to try to really break down the whole being confused out there and just reduce, like Emmanuel said, just create the niche and you know exactly what to go for. I see people say they apply to 15 schools, 20 schools, and I see people say I only apply to 3 schools. And funny enough, some of them get they get admissions or they get offers from these 3 schools because they created a niche for themselves. Like they act before they went out to apply, they actually answered most of the question by themselves before throwing in the application. So I think the best way to start is actually writing it down. This is what I want. This is how I want to do it before you just get into links and websites. Yeah.
Yeah, to add on to that, I'm one of those that applied to 3 schools, like because like I'm 3 of them gave. Sir, Mister, are you saying something? I think you're mute.
Can hear you. You're muted.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much for that answer, for that insightful answer. So I'll do a quick recap. Emmanuel stated that it's important to first of all know what you want.
Yeah.
And then make a list. So that also corroborates what you said, that get a jotter and a pen. So it's not, that means it involves some hard work there, Get a list, get a jotter, a pen, or a notepad on your device, and make a list of courses you want. And then you can now go to Google. Emmanuel spoke about Google. You can now go to Google. He said he Googled the schools that were offering what he wanted, and he got that list from Google. And then he now shortlisted, he now went to the program website. You know, going to program website is like doing a lot of research on its own because it could be a lot to read. So going to the program website for those schools is shortlisted. And then there's a section we always overlook that I mentioned. He said, now go to the financial section. Go to the financial section and see if they have funding, because they will state it there if they have funding. Go to the financial section and see if they have funding for international students, if they have funding for maybe females, if they have funding for this particular group of people, see if they have funding. And then he said, reach out to the program coordinator, send them mails, not just some hazard writing. Be intentional about the mails you are sending to the program coordinators. I am so. I'm an international student. I have this experience. I would love to study in your school. Is there funding? And he said most of the program coordinators he reached out to, they all responded. Then next is we now tailor our SOP, our letter of motivation towards that. So going forward, Esther also said the opportunities are many, and that's true. You know, at the beginning, we said there are scholarships, there are academic scholarships. There are some scholarships that are not academic. It could be based on a leadership experience. It could be based on a community impact. There are scholarships like that. So in order not to get mixed up in all the plenty different options, get a list of what you want. Create a niche of what you want and what can work for you. She also mentioned that the opportunity that worked for me, the school, the offer that worked for me might not work for another person. So I really need to streamline what will work for me. And then LinkedIn. You know, from undergraduate days, it's important to have a LinkedIn profile. It's important to have a LinkedIn profile. And then she said she went to search graduate assistants on graduate assistants in the United States in our field. So we can also do the research on LinkedIn to streamline. And then on LinkedIn, we can send them messages. Okay, is funding available in your institution? So it's not, it just makes it obvious. It's not something that I can just sit down in one corner, one day, dream it and have it. It takes some hard work. It takes some intentional work to get. Okay, and so sending messages to those people on LinkedIn, they would respond. And then you mentioned that you didn't want to write GRE. So there are opportunities where I don't have to write IELTS, I don't have to write GRE, I don't have to write GMAT. Now, there are some others. If you create a niche and you find out the requirements, you might feel, okay, for me to improve my chances, let me write this exam. So those are individual specific characteristics. Thank you so very much again. Thank you. Thank you so very much. So let me go to the next question. Okay, so you didn't give us any link. You just said we should go to Google, we should go to LinkedIn. We are still waiting for Expo. If you have any, someone mentioned a scholar link. We'll get that put it in the description. We'll get that put it in the description for scholars. Okay. So after I get the offer, one scary part is the visa application. A lot of people are scared. In fact, a lot of people will say US interview. No. I'd rather go for a country that does not involve interview. Maybe Canada, I'll just go for biometrics, or maybe UK, I'll just go for biometrics. US interview is a bonus. So can you give us tips on how you planned for that interview and how you got your approval, how you got your yes? So let's start from Mr. Emmanuel. So after this, we'll just ask for general advice, conclusion, and then if there are questions, we'll take the questions. So thank you very much, Mr. Emmanuel. Over to you.
Yeah, thank you. I think that your visa interview and your visa process starts like from pretty much when you are researching into your schools and like researching into the program you want to study. And basically like when the whole journey of like you wanted to go to the US to study starts, that is when your visa interview starts or your visa preparation starts, because it's a marathon and not a sprint, in the sense that everything like comes together to actually eventually like strengthen your possibility of getting an approval for your visa when when it is time. And I'm saying that to say that everything about your application has to be intentional, because these are the things that you possibly defend at the time of your visa interview. I see people that say, "Oh, I want to go study in the US. I just want to, get a course, get some funding, and just go to the interview." It's way beyond that. There has to be intentionality in why you are going to study this, because more than likely you would have to answer that question, when you're being interviewed at the embassy. You have to also be able to, you have to also be, because for somebody like me that studied a different degree and is going to study a totally different degree, at the master's level. So like I have to be able to justify why there is that career switch. Why, I studied this during my undergrad and I'm going to study this during my master's degree. And I can remember that I was asked that question when I was being interviewed. So imagine I didn't have an answer to justify my reason for why there is that career switch and why I'm making that move to, study at this point, or to study this at this point of at this phase of my life. So there has to basically be, I'm saying all of that to say that treat even the application process of the schools in the US, treat it very intentionally. Make sure you have reasons that back up every decision that you make, because all of these things will then play out eventually, when during your visa interview. And I'm trying to think if there's something think of something else that um could be very helpful. But I can say for sure that the intentionality is then try as much as possible to make sure you get some sort of funding. Try like one thing I said to myself when I was going for my visa interview was if this is not necessarily true for everybody, and I'm not saying, but for me, I was like, if I didn't get some sort of funding, I was probably not even going to go for the interview. So just try to make sure that you get some sort of funding from your university, because there is a form called, I think, from I-20 that usually like has the funding that you get from the university that you're going to. So that particular form would state the funding that your university is giving you. So when you go for like an interview and you present them with that, there's some source of confidence that you have that, oh, I'm getting XYZ amount of money from the university. It obviously shows that, oh, at least the university trust, there's some potential that you have. The university trusts you to like put in some of this money um in you. So I usually advise that try as much as possible to get some sort of funding on your I-20 when you're going for your interview, because I think there's I think that, in my opinion, I think there's a possibility of that leveraging giving you like a higher chance. Um, uh, you know, I think those are the things I can think of right now. Being intentional about your application from literally from like the stats, and making sure that you take the bull by the horn when you're trying to prepare for your interview. Like, one thing that a lot of people try to do when they prepare for like interviews is like, oh, God would do it. Of course, like I'm a Christian. I believe so much in the power of what God can do. But I also believe so much in being working for something, like like putting one's heart to something and taking the right, like the required steps to see that that the box that I need to check as a human being, as a person, is being like checked. And I feel like there are some other things I want to say, but I can't think of them right now. But those are the ones I can remember and can share right now regarding that.
Um, so yeah, basically, I think myself and Emmanuel kind of have the same note. Um, so basically, like you said, visa application process, especially for US, is a journey that starts not when you go for the interview. It's the journey that has started while you're applying for the schools. Because, like you said, intentionality is very important. Because one question I got in my visa interview, during my visa interview, was I wasn't expecting the question, but because I did the application myself, I know what I wanted, I could answer. The visa interviewer asked me, and the VO was like, "You have a master's already. What is going for a PhD going to do for you?" And I'm like, "What do you mean by going for a PhD? Like, that's the peak of my career. This is." But if I wasn't intentional, if I actually hasn't answered that question myself, that okay, it's not just like, oh, want to jackpot to US. No, I really want to do a PhD for myself. I want to get to the peak of career. I'm into academia. Getting a PhD makes you a doctor, and you've started a career journey as a professor. So it was important for me to get a PhD. So that way I was able to answer that question, because this is not something that I just did like I didn't just randomly apply for PhD. I was intentional about it. So it's very important. The visa application is not just during the visa interview. It's actually a journey. Like I said, it's a marathon. It started right from the beginning when you started applying. And like he said, that's just I won't call it a sad reality, but that's just the true reality, especially for US. If you really want to get to US, try to get a sort of funding. Yeah, funding is very important, especially in the US. Because, for example, you can't go to a visa officer and you say you want to do a doctorate degree, PhD in the US, and there's no funding showing on your I-20. To the visa interviewer, to the visa officer, it shows like maybe you're not strong enough as a candidate, maybe you're not strong enough as a student. It's I don't know. I think it just sends a wrong message. So that's why I tell people, especially for US, try to get as much funding as you can get. Some offers 100%, some offers 50%, but try to get one form of funding because it gives you that backbone. Because I tell people, I think it shows to this visa officer that, oh, the school is interested in you. What you carry is very important. Your CV, your credentials are important because they know that US doesn't just spend their money on anybody. So for the school to actually give you an offer of funding, extend an offer of funding to you, that means they see potential in you and you're valuable to them and they really want you to come. So for US, I think you should try. A lot of people go to visa applications in the embassy and they don't have funding. Some of them get approved, but the goal is at least to get that confidence so that it's not going to be scary. Because what makes visa application or the interview itself scary is when you don't have a form of funding, especially for US. That's what really makes it scary. But I won't discourage people that, oh, they want to try it out, that, oh, I don't have enough funding. But I think that's very important. So be intentionality, like Emmanuel said, know what, because questions can come from any angle. I tell people, I said, preparing for visa interview is like, I don't know, because you don't even know the question that they're going to ask you. You don't know. And so you have to be intentional. That's why I tell people, try to do your application yourself so that you can defend what is written in your application. Because if it's someone else that did the application for you, you don't know what the person has written and you don't know, and the person doesn't know what you're going to say. So if you have done it yourself and you were intentional about it, this is you, then you'll be able to answer. And like I said, for US, please try to get some funding. That's very important.
Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much. Because the visa application is actually, like I said, is the scary part. People will be like, I don't want to face the consul. I don't know what they will ask me. But you explained that intentionality from the start of the application, the course I'm going for, why I'm going for this course, would help to prepare for the visa interview. Then you said they asked a question that you were not even planning, or that you, because you did the school applications yourself, you had already asked yourself why the career switch. So when the consular asked you, you were able to answer. The same for Esther, when they asked, you already have a master's, why do you want to go for PhD? Why now? I want to be in the academic, so why would I do a PhD? Well, on a lighter note. But imagine asking all those kinds of questions. So one should be intentional from the point of the application, and then the application should not be, I should not be a stranger to my application. Yes. If I'm handling it myself, I'm familiar with all the questions. If I'm asking maybe an expert to review for me, I should be familiar with everything in the steps. In fact, for scholarships, most of the time it's a personal thing. It's usually personal. Okay, so and then you also mentioned getting funding. In fact, that's basically why we are running this webinar. How to get funding. Get a little funding, partial, full. It will, like Esther said, it will make them feel the government will not want to waste their resources on someone that is not valuable. So if I have a measure of funding, it means I am a value-adding person to the institution. The institution feels I will add value to them. And so it gives me a kind of confidence when I'm going for the visa interview. Thank you so much. The session, I've enjoyed myself so far. But would you have some concluding remarks, some questions I've not asked that you want to mention to us, that you want us to at least know and share? And then we'll look if there are questions. If you have questions, please drop them in the comment section. We'll attend to them now as we'll be wrapping up very soon. So concluding remarks, let's start from Mr. Emmanuel.
I think one more thing I would also add is more than likely, I wouldn't say this is true for like every university, but more than likely, I think most universities have like a separate department that handles like international students and like scholars. And oftentimes they have resources that can be very useful for like us as international students. So I think one thing to note is when, looking at a university that you are really interested in, and that you think you want to apply to, as opposed to like reaching out to like your programs coordinator, you can also look out for like their international scholars departments in the university and just reach out to them too, and ask for like this, because they also have some sort of like information regarding on some type of scholarship that like say maybe the department head that you reached out to might not have or might not share with you. So I think it might be it's also a good thing to like look into those departments in whatever university that it is that you're looking to attend. And yeah, just to reiterate some of the things that we've said, just be very intentional. It's very possible. It's very, very possible. It's very achievable. It's very doable. Like it's a lot of it start from like the mind, like from like the will and just putting in some work to like to research and niche things down and like, you know, try to hit the bull by the head. But it's very possible, it's very doable, and don't be scared and intimidated by all of the process. Just break things down, set little goals for yourself, and try to like walk your way up gradually.
Okay, I think for me, my final concluding remarks would just be, regardless of what's going on right now in terms of US schools, application, international students in US, I don't want you, don't be discouraged by that. Because the truth is, they are not stopping in terms of doing research. They need people, and it's only the people that apply, it's only the people that give the shots, it's only the people that try that they will call. So regardless of whatever is happening, whatever is going on right now in the world of this applying to US, going to US is now very hard, scary, or tough. Don't let that be a distracting factor. Still go for what you want. If you really want US, go for it, apply. I tell people, it's two things. Is either you give me a yes or you give me a no, but I've done it. I've done my own part. So don't be distracted. Don't be overwhelmed. Like, okay, what if eventually I get the admission? Try to get the admission first. Because I had somebody reach out to me and be like, what if I not get the admission now? What's the probability that they will even give me visa with whatever is happening now? No, don't restrict yourself. At least start the process. Submit your applications, be intentional, set the goals, create the niche, and see what happens after then. Don't restrict yourself, because schools are still open to taking graduate students. They're still open to with their scholarship opportunities, regardless of what is happening right now. So yeah, I think that would be my own short advice and encouragement.
Okay, thank you so much. So in conclusion, thank you for telling us again to visit the International Students Resources on the school website. And then thank you for telling us we have to start. I should not limit myself and say, hey, how will I get it? How will I get it? I should start. And then you mentioned that research is continually going on in the United States, in their institutions, and they need people. They need people that will come and join. Although they are intentional about the kind of people they want, but they need people to come on board to work on those research work as graduate assistants, as research assistants at master's and PhD level. So I can't get it if I don't make an attempt. So I have to make an attempt. So going to the comment section, someone here mentioned that this was what, thank you for that point. He said, can this video be recorded so that I can watch? Yes, it will be recorded. It will be up for some time so that people can go and watch over and over. Somebody said, I want the links, recommended links. Yes, we'll drop it in the description so that you'll be able to go to those links and help. And then someone said, exactly, I noticed that when I got denied the first time, that intentionality is key. So I'm going to the comments of the people. And then someone said, what are the tips to getting this funding? We already discussed that at the beginning. Tips to getting the funding is creating a niche, knowing the course you want to do or the likely courses you want to do, getting schools that offer those courses. You might have to get a pen and a paper and list out the schools you want to apply to. Go to their program websites, find out their requirements. How do I fit into this? Those that you don't fit into, don't bother applying. Those that you fit into, yes, put in your best foot forward. Now go to the funding section too for each of those courses. You'll see some that are funding for international students. So it's getting into research. It might be a lot of work. It might be a lot of work. Yes. Somebody also commented that, so the process starts with getting admission. Yes. The process starts from getting the offer. The process starts from getting the offer. And then someone mentioned that what of for undergraduate students? Undergraduate students, it's almost the same process. Find out what is, although some exams might be required for undergraduate scholarships. They might require you to write a SAT or something because just WAEC might not put you on a competitive level with other applicants all over the world. So thank you so much. I think we can wrap up now. Thank you for that comment. Someone said, Timilehin said, thank you for this webinar. It's been really helpful. Thank you too for watching. I really want to thank our guests for this beautiful time. In the past 1 hour, it's been insightful. I've learned. Thank you, Emmanuel, Bamidele. Thank you, Esther. We're so grateful for your time. And so that would be a wrap up. Yeah, that would be a wrap up from us. Well, it will be a good time to tell our listeners to subscribe to this channel because we'll be having more webinars like
And
this.
just before I wrap up, I was gonna say that Mpik helped me with like the filling of my my what's it called now?
Yes, 160.
Yes, 160 exactly. Like I
Well,
seeked their professional advice in like helping me review it, and they were very instrumental with helping me review my visa application form. So yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there.
yeah.
So if you need professional eyes on your, visa interview applications or whatever for it to be reviewed for you, you can reach out to them.
Thank you so much for that.
Professional eyes on your
for that recommendation. Yes, we'll be very open to review. Like we said, scholarship applications are actually personal. So this webinar is not because we want people to come and say apply for scholarships for us. No, it's actually for the knowledge, for people to be able to take it up. Scholarship applications, PhD applications are personal. Agents might have few information about some scholarships, but most of these scholarships are things you have to get in yourself and find out what works. So where we come in is we could help with your application, the DS-160, review it, give likely interview questions and all that. And we'll be glad to do that. Thank you so much again. And that will be all for now. Bye-bye.